Travel doesn't have to be stressful or overly expensive. With the right travel setup, you can actually enjoy your trip every step of the way. From free hotel nights, to earning rewards on everything you spend on, to flying in premium cabins for less than economy. For my upcoming trip, this travel setup revamp is the strongest version I've had. So in this video, I'll share exactly which cards I'm carrying, how I'm using each one, and share the strategies you can apply to upgrade your own travels. Now, first is a card that's not only new to my setup, but is one I've only gotten about 2 months ago. Having already hit the minimum spend, I've earned 5 free night awards up to 50,000 points each towards Marriott stays. And that's of course with the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless card. Now, the reason I went for this card is not only because of that high welcome bonus, but also the strong earning potential for ongoing Marriott stays. With a card, it earns you up to 17 times points when spending at Marriott properties, which is more like 18.5 times points when factoring in the Marriott Gold status I have with another card, where if you value these points at around 0.8 cents per point, that's almost like 15% back in value, way stronger than 3 times points I would earn on my other cards. And for this trip, it's a perfect fit. You see, traveling with 3 people, my parents and I, can be a bit tricky, especially in Asia when hotels are marked as triple occupancy, but really mean one main bed and an extra rollaway or a sofa bed, which is not what you want when you're on vacation. It's usually when looking at Western chains where you get those bigger rooms and actually 2 double or queen beds. And among those, Marriott was the chain that stood out. That's why most of the stays during this trip are actually with Marriott properties, like the W Taipei or a splurge stay at the Ritz-Carlton Melbourne. As for the free nights that I earned, I checked across all my bookings, but they either weren't valid during those dates or the value just wasn't there. Instead, because we did decide to do an overnight trip towards the southern part of Taiwan, I was able to find a hotel that was perfectly at 50,000 points per stay, which would have otherwise cost me over $400 US. So of course, I used one of my certificates, saving the rest for a future trip, maybe the one next year to Europe. So with a much higher return on my hotel spend, saving hundreds of dollars already just using one of my 5 free night awards, and more comfortable rooms, the Boundless has been a solid add to my travel credit card setup. Next is a card that needs no introduction and one that has been in my setup for, what is it now, like 8 years, and that's the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Now, it's not the flashiest card out there, but it's still one of my go-tos, with its 3 times points on dining worldwide with no foreign transaction fees. And if you know me, a big part of my travels is eating. Sure, when you're at hawker stalls in Singapore or night markets in Taiwan, those are cash only, but everywhere else that takes card for dining, this card is coming out. Yes, I also have the other CSP, my City Strata Premier, which also has 3 times points on dining purchases, but at least right now, I still value my Chase points higher than City points. That said, City has been heating up, with transfer bonuses right now of 30% over to Qatar, 50% to Turkish Airlines, 30% to Virgin Atlantic, and 25% to Avianca. So for some people, it might make sense to diversify, but for me, on this trip, the Sapphire Preferred is probably still gonna be the main dining card. It also plays a second role, and that's paying towards these taxes and fees on award flights. Because when you are booking flights with points, you almost never are paying the entire fare with the card. But one of the great things about Chase is that some of those travel protections kick in even if you only pay a portion of the fare, which is not the same on many other cards. And lastly, with one of my flights still not finalized, having the Chase card will allow me to transfer my Chase points out to partners when needed, especially because I've experienced before on my Amex cards where transferring points required me to verify certain numbers on the physical card. But speaking of Amex, the next card in my travel setup is of course the Amex Platinum card. Now, even with a massive refresh that was just announced, this still is not a card for everyday spend or really any spend during the trip as well. The multipliers are way too limited. This is a benefits card through and through, and when it comes to travel, those are where the benefits really shine. Check out this video here for a full breakdown, but a couple major benefits apply for this trip, with the first one being lounge access. Especially when your trip takes you through many airports, being able to escape the chaos into a quieter place with better food and drinks is always welcome. Now, yes, we are flying business class for most of the trip, which do come with lounge access already, all booked with points earned from my credit card setups. But it's always good to have options, and for someone like me who enjoys that travel experience from end to end, maybe a bit of lounge hopping as well. Maybe it's the Centurion Lounge, or maybe it's Plaza Premium and Priority Pass lounges, which in Asia are much higher in quality compared to the US. Plus, unlike some other cards like soon the Venture X, the Platinum card still gives you up to 2 guests when going to Plaza Premium or Priority Pass lounges, which is perfect for this trip of 3 people. And while most of the refreshed perks leans towards the lifestyle, like Lululemon and Resi credits, which do not work outside of the US, one that absolutely can is the hotel credit. Even though I've already used the $200 credit earlier this year, this refresh resets the credit, giving me another $300 to use before the end of the year. Which brings me to my first conundrum of the trip, my hotel stay in Brisbane. Our dates in that city just finalized, so we haven't really booked anything yet, and I'm debating between 2 choices. On one hand, there's the more premium W Brisbane, which is on Amex's Fine Hotels and Resorts program. That means I could use that $300 credit before year end, while also getting all the other perks like daily breakfast, better check-in and out times, property credit, and even potential upgrades. However, from what I've seen online, the W Brisbane is not that much better, or if any better, than the Westin, which is the second choice. Over there, I could cover with my free night award tickets, or just book with my Boundless card, earning me that 18.5 times points. Those are the 2 options I'm weighing, where the typical rule of thumb is that you should be using these credits towards things you would have been spending on anyways. And if I didn't use the hotel credit here, then there's currently no trip planned before year end that I can use this towards, unless I squeeze in a short getaway or a staycation. Let me know down below what you would do, especially if you stayed at either of these properties before. But writing this script right now, I'm kind of leaning towards just using that hotel credit and getting that over with. Next, the Capital One Venture X card, which has long been my go-to card in both my core and travel setups as that catch-all card. Though this trip, it's not gonna be the star of the show. Hotel spend is going on my Boundless. Dining is going on the Sapphire Preferred. And with everything else, well, I've got a brand new card, we'll talk about it in a second. But the Venture X still earns its place in my setup. For now, it's a great floor value card, making sure I earn at least 2 times miles on all of my spend. And that's even more interesting now when Capital One has just added a new partner of JAL. Although it's not a one-to-one transfer, the transfer bonus, which hopefully they run regularly, does bump it up closer to that rate. And for me in Seattle, where JAL flies direct to Tokyo, or JAL having one of the cabins I've yet to try, those are redemptions I would love to experience. So I'm not ignoring the value of ramping up more Capital One miles here. It also doubles as a backup lounge card. My Platinum card already covers 2 guests towards Priority Pass and Plaza Premium, so we're good there. But if I just so happen to pass by an airport with Capital One lounges, this would be my ticket in. So while it's not a headliner for this trip, it still quietly keeps my setup flexible and ensure a certain floor value. Now, there is another card I have my eye out for that maybe could be squeezed in before the trip if timing works out, and that's the Robinhood Gold card. I've been on the waitlist for a while now, but lately I've seen a lot more people get the invite. Because I already pay for Robinhood Gold, it's kind of like no annual fee for me on a card that will earn me 3% back on all my spend, making it another great catch-all card. Question is if I can even get it. Maybe I can check with Robinhood Concierge, but honestly, since I just applied and got approved for a brand new card, I'm not sure if I want another hard pull so soon. And that new card, the one that's gonna see a lot of heavy spend over the next few months, is the new Atmos Summit card. Easily one of the biggest game changers in the credit card space this year. And the timing couldn't have been better. I just finished that welcome bonus on my Boundless card, and with this international trip coming up, I didn't want all that spend to go to waste. Anytime you know you're gonna have heavy spend coming up, it's best to funnel it through hitting another welcome bonus to give you a big return. And the Summit hits that sweet spot. Not only do you get a huge chunk of points, you also get a companion certificate, both of which have huge upsides. Those same benefits unlock redemptions on partner airlines like with JAL JAL, Starlux, which is still near the top of my list for business class cabins to try, and even Cathay Pacific, which just announced new routes over to Seattle. 3 world-class airlines, all with aspirational products I would like to experience. The Atmos, or previously Alaska ecosystem, is new to me, so starting to build up a balance here seems perfectly timed, especially given the flexibility having these different options and partners brings. But the real kicker here is that 3 times points per dollar on foreign spend with no limit. That's why I said earlier that the Venture X may no longer be the go-to catch-all card for travel. On this trip, dining, Sapphire preferred. Hotel spend, the Boundless card. But for everything else, from general shopping to random purchases that would normally earn me 2 times, now racks up to 3 times Atmos points per dollar spent uncapped. It's a simple and straightforward multiplier that stacks up quickly and can fuel my future trips. And all that spend also pushes me towards that Atmos Elite status. Add in the upgrade priority bump just holding this card, and the potential to make trips like work trips later this year more comfortable, and it's a long-term win. Speaking of perks, the card also comes with lounge passes to Alaska lounges, though whether they'll come into use this trip is still up in the air. Because even though my trip is just in a couple weeks, my return flight is still not finalized, which actually puts me in the same situation I was in on a previous trip from Korea, where I didn't lock in my flight home till literally the night before. Let me explain. For the outbound trip here, everything is locked in. We're flying Seattle to Singapore, then onwards to Taipei, then from Taipei all the way down to Melbourne, with a few short hops in between before ending up in Brisbane. All set, all booked, and all in business class, except those short hops within Australia, booked with flexible points earned across all my different credit cards. But the flight returning home is where things get a bit tricky. You see, a tip I've previously shared is that you should check the routes that you want to fly on for different dates to see what may open up as your travel date gets closer. And earlier this year, I noticed a ton of flights from Brisbane through San Francisco back to Vancouver or Seattle on United Polaris for around 80 to 100,000 Aeroplan points. Those would have been perfect, but lately those awards have dried up. Fortunately though, I was able to find direct flights from Brisbane to Vancouver on Air Canada, but in premium economy. For the longest time, these flights were priced at over 100,000 points, which is way too steep and not worth it, but thanks to Seesaw Aero and just having a bookmarked search where I search for like 30 seconds every day, I managed to snag 3 of these seats for only around 50 to 60,000 Aeroplan points each, which was a pretty decent deal and more than worth it for a good backup. Because I'm not done yet, I'm still eyeing out for any business class seats that pop up. As with programs like Aeroplan, you can change your award ticket for around $100 Canadian. I'd happily pay that cost if the opportunity shows up. Now again, this kind of last minute swap is something I've done in the past, booking a return flight home from Korea, also on United Polaris through Aeroplan literally the night before, but I'm not saying I'll have that same kind of luck again. And if not, premium economy for that price, flying direct is just as good. And if you're looking to put your points to work redeeming for exactly these type of premium flights, check out my breakdown here where I walk through my exact process in doing so over the last few years, and I'll see you over there.